In February of this year, the US government did something it had never done before. It put a Silicon Valley AI company on a list usually reserved for national security threats. Not for a data breach, not for fraud, for refusing a contract. And the company they punished for saying no? It's the same one three of its biggest competitors said yes to. Stick around because this gets stranger the further you follow it. This isn't just an Anthropic story. This is happening in three places right now, and each government is playing a completely different game to get control of the most powerful technology on the planet. The US is doing it through contracts and blacklists, China's doing it through ownership from day one, and the Gulf states are doing it with something neither of them has: unlimited cash. By the end of this, you'll understand the actual global chess match nobody's explaining clearly. And along the way, we're going to hear from the people actually inside this fight, because some of them are genuinely hopeful about where this goes, and some of them are genuinely scared. Let's start with the one that made headlines for the wrong reason. Here's the deal the Pentagon put on the table: unrestricted use of AI models, including Claude, for autonomous weapon systems and domestic surveillance. No carve-outs. No, we'll loop you in on edge cases. Full access, no limits. Anthropic said no. And I want to sit on that for a second, because saying no to the Department of War isn't exactly a normal Tuesday for a company that size. Quick gut check. If you ran an AI company and the biggest defense contract of your life required you to hand over your model for autonomous weapons with zero restrictions, would you say yes? Sit with that, because Anthropic's competitors didn't hesitate. OpenAI signed, Google signed, SpaceX, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Reflection, all signed Pentagon deals. Anthropic is the only major lab that walked away from the table. And in February 2026, the consequence landed. The US government gave Anthropic a supply chain risk designation. The first time in American history that label has ever been applied to a domestic AI company. Not a Chinese company, not a foreign adversary, an American one, for refusing to weaponize its own product. And that label isn't symbolic. A supply chain risk designation can freeze a company out of federal procurement entirely. No government contracts, no federal agency partnerships. And it sets a precedent every other agency can point to later. This isn't a slap on the wrist, it's a wall, and it's one the government built specifically because a company said no. As of the most recent deal announcement in May, Anthropic is still excluded, still on the outside, still the one lab that said no. Now here's where it gets stranger, because the US model, contracts and blacklists, punishing companies after the fact, isn't even the most direct way a government can control AI. China skipped the negotiation stage completely. The US is trying to control AI labs from the outside, one contract and one blacklist at a time. China built control into the foundation. State ownership, state direction, state priorities, not negotiated after launch, baked in before day one. That's a fundamentally different relationship between a government and a technology company. In the US model, the government is a customer trying to set terms. In China's model, the government isn't a customer at all. It's closer to a co-founder that never leaves the boardroom. Funding, direction, and deployment priorities all run through state channels from the start, which means there's no version of saying no the way Anthropic did. The leverage point doesn't exist because the separation it would require never existed either. You saw this play out just a few days ago with Kimi K3, Moonshot AI's model that briefly knocked NVIDIA off its own throne as the most valuable company in the world. That wasn't a scrappy startup outmaneuvering Silicon Valley. That was a preview of what state-aligned AI development looks like when it actually works. Same goal as the US? Control the technology before it controls the balance of power. Completely different method. No blacklist required when the company was never fully independent to begin with. NASDAQ dropped, Taiwan fell 6%, Japan fell 4%. That's not a tech story anymore, that's a power story. And it's not over. Kimi K3's full model weights go fully public on July 27th. Once that happens, this stops being one company's breakout moment and starts being a global access event. Anyone, anywhere can build on it. Watch that date. So that's two governments, two totally different playbooks. But there's a third player in this that doesn't need contracts or ownership. It just needs a checkbook big enough to buy a seat at the table. UAE and Saudi sovereign wealth funds have been quietly buying stakes in the exact same labs the US and China are fighting over. Not through subsidy, not through mandate, through capital. Think about what that actually means. You don't need to blacklist a company if you own a piece of it. You don't need to nationalize a lab if your money is already inside its cap table. This is the quietest form of control on the list, and arguably the hardest one to regulate against, because it doesn't look like control. It looks like an investment round. Three countries, three completely different tools: legal leverage, structural ownership, and capital. Same target. Now, all of that is the geopolitics. But I want to slow down for a second, because behind every one of those three plays is a group of actual people: researchers, policy folks, engineers, who are watching this unfold in real time. And they are not all reacting the same way. Some of the fear is straightforward. If national pride and sovereign capital start driving AI development instead of careful safety work, the worry is a race to the bottom. Labs cutting corners on guardrails because the country backing them cares more about being first than being careful. That's not a hypothetical concern. That's the exact tension people flagged the moment Kimi K3's market shock hit. Speed rewarded, caution punished. There's a deeper fear underneath that one, too. The idea that it might take an actual black swan event, some kind of serious incident, before governments take coordinated safety seriously instead of treating this as a race to win. Nobody wants to be right about that. But it's a real position held by real people who study this for a living. But here's the hopeful counter-argument, and it's worth taking seriously too. Some people in this exact fight believe government involvement is actually the thing that forces safety standards nobody would adopt voluntarily. Left alone, competitive pressure pushes labs to move fast. Real regulation, done well, could be the thing that slows everyone down at the same time, so no one's punished for being careful. So depending on who you ask, government control of AI is either the biggest risk to safety we're facing, or the only realistic path to it. And honestly, I don't think there's a clean answer yet. I think we're watching it get decided in real time, across three countries, using three totally different tools. So back to where we started. Why would a government punish a company for refusing a contract? Because whoever controls AI at this level isn't just controlling a product, they're controlling the thing every other technology, every other industry, and arguably every other country's leverage is about to run through. The US is doing it with contracts, China's doing it with ownership, the Gulf is doing it with capital. Three different playbooks, one identical goal, and real people on the inside who are hopeful, scared, or both. This is exactly the thesis I've been building toward with every video on this channel about government and AI. Newsom, Fable 5, Sol, all of it. This is the through line, and it's not slowing down. This whole video exists because one of you asked for it. Shout out to @FeckFamily7283, whose comment on the Sol video kicked this whole thing off. If you've got a story you want the same treatment, drop it below. I pick one every first Wednesday, and it goes live the last Wednesday of that month. Subscribe if you want to keep tracking this fight as it plays out, because this is one story, not three, and it's just getting started.